Most of us know that we should avoid the blue light from phone and tablet screens just before we try to go to sleep, but most of us, it seems, might be wrong. A scientific review of studies into blue light and bedtime has concluded that the effect might be pretty much negligible. Dr. Lindsay Browning is author of the book Navigating Sleeplessness.
Research is always evolving, and what this shows is that the initial studies that showed and suggested that blue light was the big enemy and we should avoid any bright light, and especially from the LED sort of blue frequency light before bed, maybe was overreaching how bad it was. And this study looked at to show that, yes, blue light does impact our body's ability to produce melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, and affect our circadian rhythm somewhat. But how that actually translates to how well we fall asleep quickly isn't really that significant. And actually, technology before bed is probably a lot more complex than simply, oh, it's the light that's the problem. And it's how we use that technology that's probably much more damaging to our sleep.
When you say it's not that significant, am I right in thinking that this review has suggested that actually it probably, if it is going to have an effect, it's probably just going to be of a few minutes?
Yes, exactly. They did a number of studies they looked at were between either no difference or maximum sort of 9.9 minutes. I think they said that you would take 9 minutes more to fall asleep. And at the end of the day, that's pretty small fry compared to when people struggle to sleep. They could be lying there tossing and turning for much, much longer than that.
What do you think in that case is worth avoiding if you're trying to get into this good sleep hygiene?
Yeah. So if you think about it, I'm sure I know I've myself fallen asleep in front of the TV. So if it was that damaging, why would we be falling asleep whilst watching TV in the evening? And most of us have done that. So to get good night's sleep and technology, it's probably much more likely that we're replacing sleep with watching TV. We're scrolling through our social media because they're designed to be addictive. We're watching the next episode of Bridgerton, or we're watching the next episode on TikTok, and it just doesn't end, does it? It just keeps going and going and going, and then before we know it, oh gosh, it's now 2 a.m. I should have gone to bed 2-3 hours ago. So when we use technology in the bedroom, it can delay sleep. And also what's really important is that if we have our phones in our bedroom, then what can happen is if we leave those notifications on that's pinging during the night, that can really disturb our sleep because we wake up, check the phone, or even we are woken up from sleep by the flashing lights and the pings and the notifications.
One of the interesting things about this is that actually there's been quite a commercial side to this, that people have sort of come up with all sorts of gadgets to try and limit or diminish the effect of blue light late at night. But it does suggest that maybe, that's not quite as necessary as some had claimed. Let's put it that way.
I think what this research, this meta-analysis of lots of studies is showing is that we still don't fully understand it. Blue light definitely does affect melatonin production, but to what extent that directly impacts how well we fall asleep is what needs more investigation. I personally always put night mode on my phone or on my devices in the evening, just because I'm sure it does have a bit of an effect, but that's only one part of the puzzle. And if I was to fool myself thinking, oh great, I've put night mode on, that means I can do all the other bad things and my sleep will be perfect. Absolutely not. It's about doing lots of things. And I think people love to get an easy solution. And if it's as simple as, oh, well, if we get rid of blue light, then we'll sleep brilliantly. That's the easy fix. And just like, I'd love a 6-pack, but the easy solution isn't sadly there. I have to eat salads and do sit-ups. That's the reality of it. So for a good night's sleep, we have to really put the work in. And blue light, this doesn't say that it doesn't have an impact. It just says it probably doesn't have as great a shocking, terrible impact as maybe the public have been led to believe thus far.
Lindsay Browning, sleep specialist, on why we may be right not to be too obsessed about the blue light from our phone or tablet just before we try to go to sleep.